This is Austin St. John, Jason, the original Red Ranger. You are watching the Morphin Network.
Carson's Corner is a black LGBTQ-owned small business. They sell merchandise and apparel on pop culture franchises such as Dragon Ball, King of the Hill, Sailor Moon, and of course and most importantly, Power Rangers. If you're interested in getting their amazing merch, be sure to check them out at carsoncorner.com. Link will be down below.
Hey everyone, welcome to Rider Time Podcast, where things are really heating up with everything involving Kamen Rider Revice, and things are getting really cool, if I should say so myself. Now, what can I say about this episode? So much to say. I am TimeRider Zero, and today we are reviewing episode 17 of Kamen Rider Revice, Deepening Betrayal, The True Value of Buddies. And let me say, this episode was very interesting. Like, honestly, things are finally going at a pace I actually want them to be seen at. And let me know what you guys think. Did you like the episode? And what are some of your theories about upcoming episodes? Put them in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. Yes, we do this live. And of course, this is the first episode of 2022, so let's get right on it. So the first, at the end of the previous arc, there's a huge shakeup at the Phoenix organization with their hierarchy. Hikari became Kamen Rider Demons became the new commander of Phoenix. But turns out that there's a director that shows up at their lab to oversee future going-ons. And of course, they do have the gift statue now because of the raid that they did in episode 15. But of course, the director and George exchange a look that makes me wonder if there's anything suspicious going on. Like maybe George might also be a heel? But I don't know. It could be possible that you have two different heels in the same organization following two different pathways, just like how you got like how in Zaya you have Gaiamatsu being one kind of heel, but the AI he's been using to do his work, Naki, was also a member of MetsuboGenRide.net. So So it is possible that the Chameleon Deadman and George might be two different parties, but also might actually be villains. But the thing that makes me suspicious about the director even more is that he actually kind of looks like one of the executive members of Shocker. I can't put my finger on which one it is, but he gives me Shocker vibes. So I'm very suspicious as to what kind of person he is. Did you guys feel suspicious of him as well when he showed up in the episode? Meanwhile, we do have Aguilera and Julio trying to plot their next move. And of course, they say, oh, we don't need Olteka. We'll just do our own thing. And Julio in particular is really upset about Olteka betraying them. But of course, as we all know, that the two of them are the actual traitors. So let's see if this is a cognitive dissonance sort of thing, like in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure when Kakyoin fought Jotaro. He said, the person who wins is the true hero and the person who loses is the villain. But of course, that is not a good way to measure who is justice. But then again, later on in the same part of JoJo, you have a villain with the stand of justice. So, meanwhile, Olteka tries to contact various former members of the Dead Man, and turns out they are living normal lives. So, but he wants to recruit them back into the organization, and of course, they are very happy to do so. And I love that he's incognito because now that the organization the central part of the organization has been destroyed, you have to have people in disguise so that they don't draw attention to themselves. It's kind of like it's kind of like Spider-Man No Way Home. It's like you're gonna draw attention no matter where you are. So some of you might be thinking the previous episode ended with Sakura finding a secret room inside their neighbor's house. So what did she find in there? Absolutely nothing. She didn't even go to that room down the stairs because she chickened out. And honestly, I have to say, this was the most disappointing moment in the episode for me, because hopefully it was going to be some kind of revelation, something important. Maybe she would get a power up. Maybe she would heal. There's so many opportunities of things to happen in this discovery if she actually went along with it. But she didn't do it. What's going on there? So that's confusing. My question for you guys is, what did you guys think she might find? Like, no, what were your hypotheses? And are you also disappointed that she didn't find out what it was going to be? And do you think that she's going to find out later? Because it looks like there's going to be several plot threads involving Sakura, and I really hope that they fall through. But however, she's visited by a guy claiming to know Julio, and turns out Julio was not his real name. I don't know whether or not to be surprised by this, because on one hand, you do have a Japanese guy with a Latin name, and so like maybe it could be a code name because he's part of this new cult. But on the other hand, we did have a version of Kamen Rider Amazon where the actor was half Argentinian. We've had an actor from Kamen Rider Drive whose name is straight up Chris. We do Ramirez from Kyoruger. He's half Canadian. So I shouldn't be too surprised that a character is named Julio in a Japanese TV show, but at the same time, should I be surprised that it wasn't his real name? Nevertheless, turns out that they were high school buddies back in the day. Meanwhile, Icky, he was really upset that he wasn't able to separate the three level 3 dead man from their bodies before defeating him, resulting in all three of them dying. First of all, Man of Steel, burden of having to actually kill someone, and this sin was probably going to weigh on him, but naturally he wants to become stronger. And of course, George has a plan on how to use a new Vice step in order to help fight it off, but it involves being a simulator where Icky and Vice have to fight a virtual version of Revy. Now, first of all, this gives me reverse Spider-Man vibes. Okay, so in 90s Spider-Man, there was a dream sequence where Peter Parker had to fight against both a hollow suit of Spider-Man versus the symbiote body, and the two of them were ripping him apart. I feel like this is a reverse of that, where you have two real guys fighting a virtual simulation. But my question is, why are they just fighting Vice? Revy. Wouldn't it be more interesting if Icky and Vice had to fight Kamen Riders Revy and Kamen Rider Vice to make it more difficult? Meanwhile, we do get a bit of a flashback of Julio back in high school. So he used to play a card game with his best friend, which gives me strong Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge vibes right here. And of course, he has a super rare card that helps him beat his best friend that we saw earlier in the episode. Meanwhile, in the simulation, if Revy manages if Vice manages to defeat Revy without Icky, he gets frozen as a recoil damage. However, if Icky defeats Revy, he gets burned to a crisp. Meanwhile, going further into the flashback of Julio, we find out that some bullies blackmailed Julio's friend into tearing up the card. And I swear to God, this looks familiar, very familiar to me, and I can't quite put my finger on it. But at least, hopefully there will be more than 3 copies of this card, whatever it is. But what do you think of this backstory where he's just angry that his friend betrayed him by tearing up a card? And also, we don't really want, another issue I have with the scene is they don't really talk about why he did this thing that the bullies told him to. They didn't say, oh, we'll let you join our club if you tear up his card, or we have these embarrassing photos of you and we'll show them to the rest of the school if you don't tear up his card, or whatever else have you. Because usually when bullies convince someone to do something they don't want to, there has to be some kind of leverage. But then Julio does meet Aguilar for the first time, and she tells him to smile. And the thing is, first of all, this scene is really adorable, in my opinion, because it shows how much charisma Aguilar has and why he is so willing to protect her. But at the same time, it also kind of takes me back to some of the earlier scenes in the last few episodes where Julio told Aguilar to smile every now and then. And now we know why. It's because Aguilar told him to smile. Of course, he remembers Olteka, and he sees Olteka as the traitor, and he needs to be stopped. Meanwhile, Olteka meets with his a lot of his followers, and there are a lot of followers. And he asks them, "So, do you enjoy your new lives as in your old worlds?" And of course, all of them say no, and we want to go back to being dead man. And what's crazy is that this high key reminds me of this one scene from Squid Game. I don't know if you've ever watched Squid Game. Chances are you have already. But there's a scene in the second episode where all the contestants were allowed to leave and go back home. But then the old man, player 001, tells the main character, our old lives are no better than being at the games. If we go back to playing the games, at least we have a chance at a better life, because we may as well be dead no matter what. And of course, this scene highly reminds me of that. Of course, the next day, he uses the gift stamp in order to turn an old woman into what is called a giftarian, which I can't tell if it's a level 3 or level 4 or something completely different. But that monster straight up reminds me of the undead from Kamen Rider Blade, which is appropriate because they're dead man. By the way, let me know in the comments who you think would win a fight between a dead man and an undead, if you've watched Kamen Rider Blade. So Live and Demon show up in order to fight off the Gift Juniors, but it turns out that Olteka has a reason to confront Demon, and we do see his belt go on the fritz from the looks of it. And so I'm wondering, what plans does he have for Kamen Rider Demons? Like, does he have a way to turn him into a heel? Because keep in mind, we still haven't seen him have his own demon, because Ikki has Vice, Daiji has Kagero, and Sakura has Love Cove, but we've never seen Hiromi's demon. So I'm curious if he wants to summon his dead man or something. But nevertheless, Julio interferes, and the two of them start fighting each other. And I am curious, what do you guys think? Who do you think would win in the fight between Julio and Olteka? Because one's a wolf, the other's a squid. And one thing I just noticed is how Olteka's spear looks like an umbrella, while Julio's gun looks like a giant key. So you got another Squid Game reference because of the umbrella, and you got a Kingdom Hearts reference because of the key gun. Do you think in a new Kingdom Hearts game they should have a key gun instead of a key blade? That would be an interesting concept. Nevertheless, Sakura shows up to try to remind Julio about his past. And while you do see him have a flashback of high school, he says, "I don't know who this guy is," and he continues to fight. So I wonder if he's just in denial or if he's legitimately brainwashed. Nevertheless, Ikki and Vice show up to confront Olteka and this new Giftarian. And yes, if you look carefully, the Giftarian does strongly look like an undead from Kamen Rider Blade. But one thing I have noticed earlier in the episode was the fact that they were still training they were still training on how to use the volcano vice stamp, and George said that they need to take a break before they continue training. But Icky takes the vice stamp with him when he goes to confront Olteka. So I wonder if the fact that his training is not complete would cause some kind of severe repercussions in the next episode. But before we get to that, let's talk about the transformation sequence. Much like so in the original Baird Rex transformation, he there's like a field of ice surrounding an egg which hatches into Baird Rex form. But here the egg is surrounded by magma. So it makes me wonder if he's going to be soft-boiled or hard-boiled like a detective. But in the end, Vice gets new armor, and Icky gets a new armor as well. So they're kind of doing a fire and ice thing, but let's be honest, it's more of rock and water because, let's be honest, magma is liquid rock, ice is solid water. So honestly, rather than getting a fire ice reference, I get more of a Groudon Kyogre reference because science. But still, it's a great transformation sequence. Looks very beautiful, and of course they have to fight in sync because that was the whole point of the recoil from the earlier in the episode. If Vice acts on his own, he'll be frozen. If Revi acts on his own, he'll get burned. But if they work together and act in full synchronicity, then they are much more powerful with a minimal recoil damage. One thing I thought was really cool in this episode was the fact that Vice can use ice breath to create an ice Qatar out of his shield. So they're able to do a double slash attack using both fire and ice in order to destroy the Giftarian. Of course, earlier Olteka mentioned that this isn't just a person being trapped inside a Giftarian. A Giftarian completely consumes the person. There's no coming back from it, which means that this woman is a goner. She's completely dead. And of course, Olteka taunts Icky, saying, "What's it like knowing that that despite having this super upgrade, you're still not able to save people's lives?" And of course, this provokes Icky in order to rushing at him, which I'm pretty sure will lead to severe repercussions to him later on. And of course, the episode ends with the Zero in this bumper completely flipping a page into a new Zero because we're getting new Vice stamps later in the season. Of course, there's going to be new Vice stamps later in the season. It's Kamen Rider. We'll make all sorts of new Vice stamps because don't say no, just buy more. So this has been Kamen Rider Revice episode 17, Deepening Betrayal, the True Value of Buddies. So what do you guys think of the episode? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? What do you think about things that might happen later on? So I think the episode was really great. We are at a great pace because when you have a new arc, you do need a new plot point to go with, and I can't wait to see where this is going. I love the fight sequences, both between the Dead Man and between the Riders. I love seeing how there's that recoil if the two heroes are not in sync. And I'm curious how the fact that it's incomplete training might have repercussions in the next episode. But more importantly, I'm curious how Sakura and Hiromi might be affected by future events because of things that may have been teased in this episode. And all in all, I wonder if Julio is going to have a face turn just like Phoenix did in Kamen Rider Wizard. In the end, I give this episode a 10 out of 10 because I actually really liked it. So, moving on to the comments. Let's see. Red Samurai Ninja said, "Hello, how are you? I'm doing great. How are you doing?" And Muhammad says, "How are you?" I'm doing great. I hope all of you are doing well. For those of you in the United States, I hope you're having a wonderful 3-day weekend because it's Martin Luther King Day on Monday. So enjoy the extra time off. Of course, if you enjoy our content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on our channel, Morphin Network. Do it on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And of course, if you like our review of Kamen Rider Revice, be sure to check out our other reviews of Kikai Sentai's and Kaiger on the Boom Studios comics, Power Rangers Dino Fury, which will be coming back in the spring. And of course, we have a lot of interviews with Power Ranger actors, whether they're from conventions, online interviews. Be sure to check them out on our YouTube channel. And if you want to see more of my own content, be sure to follow me on Instagram at chrono_just_cosplay and follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/BokenKabuto. And of course, be sure to check out the DiFilippo triplets at the Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach on the 22nd. I'll be there. Probably Ryan will also be there. Be sure to say hi to everyone. And of course, you'll also get to meet Joe from the Illuminati. So shout outs to the Illuminati, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day and just enjoy your 3-day weekend. Bye, everyone.
Carson's Corner is a black LGBTQ-owned small business. They sell merchandise and apparel on pop culture franchises such as Dragon Ball, King of the Hill, Sailor Moon, and of course and most importantly, Power Rangers. If you're interested in getting their amazing merch, be sure to check them out at carsoncorner.com. Link will be down below.